your tagline is...
Two women, no middlemen.
Yeah.
I love that. So a copywriter came up with it for us. We hired
cool.
him. And the second he presented it to us, we would, and we've met people recently that knew the tagline rather than us.
Right, yeah.
Which, you've managed to get something good when people are like, wait, you're two women, no middlemen, aren't you? Like, yes, we are.
So it grabs the attention of straight away and sort of brings people into the brand, which is usually the opposite for taglines, isn't it? It's like you know the company and then the tagline explains what they do.
Yeah.
Whereas yours is sort of pulls them through that way.
Yeah.
Nice. So what do you guys do then? What would you describe yourself as? Two women, no middlemen. What do you do?
What is this thing?
Yeah.
So we've been self-employed for 7 years this month, which has flown. It seems absolutely terrifying. So for the last 7 years, we've been a website and design studio.
Cool.
And that has kept us beautifully busy, worked with a beautiful range of clients. And it's something we've really enjoyed doing. It's a home-based business. Work from the home office, get to spend the day with the cat every day.
What's the cat's name? Important
Lulu.
Question.
Lulu. She is 19 years old. I'm 36, so she's been with me for like my whole adult life.
Yeah.
So we had to work from home to look after the ancient cat, obviously. But yeah, that's what's kept us busy. And as of this year, we then started up a second business because why wouldn't you start up a second business?
No, you don't want to get bored, do you?
Well, I think I struggle with that bored element. Before being self-employed, the longest job I ever had was 2.5 years.
Okay.
So I'm really
so you
not
like to move on.
Yeah, it amazes me that I've managed to stay self-employed in the same thing for 7 years.
But then you said you're not neurodiverse.
No.
But you like to keep busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you like pressure.
And extreme focus on things. I think that really does sum up my personality type. That's
actually a good timing because but I haven't announced it at all on the podcast that it's being renamed. It was Chalk Original, which is my studio, and it's just the Chalk Original podcast, but it didn't really fit in a thing. So it's now HyperFocus podcast, where we talk about neurodiversity and things that people hyperfocus on and just get really into, because I love what people get really into. You said you're not neurodiverse, but you get really into your work. Mm-hmm. What is it that gets you into it? Except for like just having to feed the cat.
I mean, that's an important part. It is an important part. She's very important. I definitely have the personality type that dives deeply into something when it becomes a fascination. And have the capability to be completely consumed by it. So when I have an idea that I love, that's very much what happens to me. I think there's a beautiful balance when you're that way to have somebody else that's the opposite as well. Yeah. So we're very much a two-person business. I am completely hyper-focused. I will forget to eat and work from 6 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the morning on that thing that is all encompassing. And my wife Jo, very luckily, is the opposite personality type. So she is what I would call the ultimate completer finisher. Like if you go into, like when you play like a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
And there's all the quests that you could complete.
Yes.
Well, I'm the kind of person that will follow the storyline to the end and then put the thing down.
Yeah.
Whereas she is very much the kind of person that will complete every single thing that you can complete.
She likes all the points and all the Easter eggs.
Yes, it must be ticked off, every single one, or the game's not finished. And I think that combination of having the hyper-focus and the completer finisher teaming up is what I couldn't run a good business without her.
That's like finding your team is such a vital part, isn't it? And sort of not having... it's mostly just me. It's me and freelancers for my business. So having those people that push you to finish, which I found is other business owners. It's myself. It's my partner as well. So I have to get things done, especially this week before I go on holiday. It's like all the deadlines are like, right, actually, no, it does have to be done because if not, it's not going to be done. But having that as a business partner and having that connection, that's brilliant. Right. And is that something that you knew before? Like when did you start dating?
Working together.
Before working together, was it before? Did you start the business together? Did you have jobs that aligned?
Yeah, so we met when I was 18, so we've been together for almost 20 years, which is absolutely almost as insane as running a business. But she was actually my manager in a pub.
Okay.
I was at uni at the time, she was a couple of years older, and we ended up being together. She supported me in the pub trade while I went to uni and studied marketing. Then I went and got a role, and she went back and studied graphic design.
Oh, okay.
So we kind of supported each other through that and learned each other's personality types along the way.
Yeah.
And I think for many people, starting a business wasn't this grand plan. It just became something that started gnawing away. You know, like you talk about this HyperFocus. Like, I wasn't satisfied in employed life. And we'd also always talked about going travelling.
Okay.
But when you've got a job, it's a really hard thing to do. So things kind of came to a head. And we both quit our jobs, set up the company, rented out our home, and took a one-way flight to Bali.
Nice.
And we spent a year travelling around Southeast Asia while bootstrapping the business. And I think that we didn't have any long-term plans for like what this business would be. We were kind of like, we'll try it, and if it doesn't work out, we'll get a job.
Yeah.
But I think during that year together of travelling and culture shock and setting up the business, we really learned that those personality types work well together.
Yeah, and you fell into your roles because you were doing multiple things at the same time. It wasn't like being at home, oh, I'm going to go and work, I'm going to go and do this. It's, right, we need to figure out where we are in the world. We need to, are we moving? Are we changing locations? Yeah, time differences, all those sort of things where you have to find the thing that fits your personality and your role together to do it. And it's grown from there. So how long did you say you've been in business?
7 years this month.
7 years. So was that when you went travelling then and then came back?
Yep, so that was year one.
That was year
one.
So
yeah, we've had 6 years solidly back in the UK since then.
And all in Northampton since you came back?
No, so we were not. So my other half is Northamptonshire born and bred, and I moved here when I was 16. When we did the whole renting out the house and travelling, when we came back, we kind of crash landed at my parents' place in Cambridgeshire.
Yeah.
And we got in with the business community there, kind of found our people as we were fledgling.
Yeah.
So we stuck around there for a while. Then COVID happened and, the world kind of shut down. So we stayed at theirs. And we came back to Northamptonshire coming up to 2 years ago now.
Okay. Why Northamptonshire?
Why back?
Yeah, why here?
Home.
Like, it's just that it feels like home.
Very, very much so. So whilst travelling the world and living in Cambridge and not being here, we realised how much we missed, more than anything, our friendship group.
Yeah.
We both grew up here. We've got some gorgeous friends here, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting place, I think, to own a business. For one of the subjects I often end up chatting about is that in Northamptonshire we generally feel more pride that we're close to cities rather than who we are. So looking from the outside, people often don't realise how great it is and how much those friendship and the community is here. It's just maybe a little bit more hidden than a lot of places, which is nice. Just like, you obviously know the guys at Vulcan Works really well, which we've got something to talk about in a bit. But like having places like that popping up where they become hubs for industry and for freelancers and creative businesses and that side of it is really, I think, really important. Maybe something that hasn't happened in Northamptonshire enough in the past, and it's sort of coming into fruition now and growing. And so you've got something
along those lines. Yeah. I do, yeah. Well, it's exactly
which is
that.
How I convinced you to be here. is so you could come and shout all about it. But if not, you're obviously way too busy with to come to my rural office, away from the big lights of Northampton.
I mean, your rural office is very close to my rural office, so this is very suited.
True.
But yeah, I mean, first off with Vulcan Works, the moment I saw that was going to happen, I was so excited. It was around about the same time as I was coming back to the county that they were building it, and I was watching and waiting for the day to open.
When the Chronicle and Echo were putting out pictures, I was like, oh, that place looks
It's going to be amazing,
yeah.
right? It's going to be amazing. So we had a little bit of a journey with what's led us to Go Work Club and what's gotten us into Vulcan Work. So back in Cambridgeshire, we found some really awesome networking events and business communities for freelancers, self-employed people, small business folk. And it's that's kept me self-employed all of these years, because I found friends, I found people to ask questions of when I was stuck. I spent time with them, and just like sitting in an office on your own or spending a day with other self-employed people, that's where my ideas come from.
And you missed out, like, that community are the ones you can bitch and moan to as well. Like, they're not, you do it to your friends with a full-time job and they're like, yeah, but you get control your own hours. And you're like, no, I've got 10 clients, which means 10 bosses. So deadlines are deadlines.
Yep. And they, you know, you get paid every month.
Yeah.
On time, for sure.
We get paid sometimes
sporadically
if they fancy doing it within 90
late.
days.
Yeah. So this community is such a beautiful thing, and it's what's helped grow my business and keep me self-employed. So when I was coming back to Northamptonshire, I didn't want to leave the communities that I'd found.
Yeah.
And one of them is called the Marketing Meetup.
Yes, I've heard of it, and again, haven't been able to make it.
You'll have to come along to
one. I want to.
It's a beautiful thing.
I keep putting it in the diary every time it pops up on LinkedIn.
And then life happens.
Yeah.
Totally get it. I want to go to about 10,000 events I don't make it to. Life is busy. Well, the Marketing Meetup was started up by a lovely chap called Joe. And Joe was a young marketer who was terrified of networking, absolutely terrified, would go in and be confronted by the sea of faces asking your job title and, you know, handing you business cards.
Not quite understanding why your business maybe has a funny name, or like,
exactly.
It's like, because
or considering you too junior to, you know, be someone of interest or whatever it might be. And he decided that he wanted to set something up that just felt welcoming.
Yeah.
And he started up this local meetup in Cambridge, which I happened to go along to when my business was about a month old.
Yeah.
And over the years, it's grown, it's turned into this beautiful thing, but it hosts itself in multiple locations. So when I was moving to Northamptonshire, I went up to Joe and I was like, can I take the Marketing Meetup to Northampton? And that's how I bumbled across Vulcan Works, because it gave me an opportunity to knock on the door and go, can we host an event here? And it started to form this really beautiful community, and we've been running it there for just over a year now. And it's lovely. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm really glad we did it, and it's really lovely to see such a wonderful business community kind of appearing around us. And that is what's inspired Co-work Club. So the Marketing Meetup is an event for marketers. Co-work Club is an event for the self-employed, for anyone who can relate to working from a quiet own office or from a home office, and being isolated. Have you ever worked a week and realised that other than your desk, you've not gone anywhere else?
I often work a week and realise I haven't spoke to anyone except my dog, who's called Greg. He's not here today. And so, what am I going to say? Sometimes I walk around the office just talking to myself, so my voice gets used for a day because I'm not on the phone, I'm not doing anything. Greg's maybe not there, or he's ignoring me. And it's just need to get some words out. So I definitely know what it's like to need a bit of human interaction when you're working. It's
exactly that. It's that need to interact with someone or get yourself out of that space so that your brain can have something creative happen, or to meet some other people so that you can share this kind of self-employed life with them. And so that's why we started up Co-work Club. So Co-work Club is a once-a-month event, currently held in Vulcan Works in Northampton. And we turn up every month and we have a lovely speaker giving like a relevant talk to self-employed people. So last month we had Ryan Percival come in and talk about how to do LinkedIn without it taking over your life.
Yes. Like, it's all or nothing for me on LinkedIn. It's the HyperFocus. Like, right, I'm on it. It's open on my tabs. It's on my phone. Right. Reply to people. Or, no, I'm in a project. Ignore it later.
Crickets.
Need a bit of structure in there, and sort of a bit of strategy, I guess, as well, isn't it? Why are you posting? Who are you replying to? Not who are you replying to, but why, what sort of interactions do you get, and that sort of thing on there. He honestly, so the talk is up on the Co-work Club website to watch back. If you're looking for like, how do I do this? He broke it down into like this non-intimidating, really, really nice way of just kind of laying it out. It's brilliant. But we have like speakers like him come in. We spend the day co-working together, and I've seen like friendships form, and some people have already started like working together on projects or with clients. I spoke to one of them yesterday, and they said they've met another one of them for a coffee. Like, already we're seeing these self-employed people growing their network and having like proper self-employed friends, which is absolutely beautiful. And in the afternoon we had a cake break, because sign me up, I'm there.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
like, if we're gonna do it.
You tell me this now when I've invited you to the studio and all I have is water.
I should have bought some of the Co-work Club cake, shouldn't I? We've
a
got an
cake.
event next week.
Yeah, I go on holiday this week, so maybe best if I have any cake.
Rather not.
Just need to trim down.
Well, you're only 10 minutes away from ours, and we often have leftovers the day after, just saying.
Well, maybe I'll get past on the way for the studio. Come meet the cat as well. So the community's growing that you've built already there.
Yeah.
Like the connections of people, and that's strange. Like you used the word networking, but then you said that people were meeting up afterwards. To me, that's not networking. That's community. You've actually built a community. Like networking is the thing you do to go and get your name out there. Community is what happens when you have a bond with somebody, and that's clearly what's been built from what you guys do.
It's to me, networking is the bridge into community.
Dirty
you know
word
what? I've had some gorgeous
people.
words with it. Like I think it's how you frame it and what you consider a networking
So
event.
many people. Oh, it's scary. It's horrible.
It can be, right?
Yeah.
So when I was younger and a junior marketer and all the things that I've done in the past, I used to hide in the toilets at networking events. I hated it.
Meet great people there though, like all the time.
Hiding in the toilets. It's the best place to be.
It is, yeah.
It is the best. I've done it at a
sink,
lot
just
of
washing
events.
your hands. Everybody just like, so what do you do?
Again. It's so networking is a dirty word, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Done well, it can be a really comfortable, safe space that is welcoming, where you find your community.
Yeah. Once you get out of that area where you walk in and somebody just straight away goes, "What is it you do? Here's my business card. You need to buy from me." It's like if you can dodge them and just find the other quiet person in the corner that actually wants a conversation, or the group that are having a laugh and a chat, but it's not actually about work, it's just a subject you like, or the group over near the coffee machine who are saying how crap the coffee is there, because it always is. Like, I think that's something else at Balkan Works, because they have really good coffee from...
They do. Yeah, they do. I think... Yeah, there's something really in that. I liken it to like the old way of networking and the new way of networking. So the networking that I hid in the toilets from was the one where you go with a handful of business cards and there's bad coffee or warm wine. Why is there always warm wine at those events? And you walk in and it is like a feeding frenzy, and it's very much, how many leads can I get out of this event? How
many business cards can I get away? Because that's the scoreboard.
And
if people have my business card, they might want my business.
It works for some, and that's absolutely fine. But for plenty, it makes them really, really uncomfortable, and that's very much the kind of human that I am. That's not. It doesn't suit me. The new way of networking is exactly what you were describing. It's a safe space which is introduced as somewhere where we don't sell to each other, where it gives you the space to foster relationships, find the people that you know really naturally. It's like the old way, it's forced referrals and all of those kinds of things. And the new way is much more into buying into, like, I know this person, I trust them, so I feel safe referring them. Because they're a safe pair of hands, and I feel like I can trust them to do so. And I think there's a really big difference between the two. And I'll still hide in the loos if you take me to the old style. The new style is very much my happy space.
The conversations change from the I do this to the what do you love doing. And you refer people and you talk about, I met this person who actually would be ideal for your business, or you get on really well with them, instead of the printer salesman who's like, forcing out business cards, going, you need printer. My printer's balanced on a shelf somewhere because I don't ever need one, and if I do, it never works. So it's that thing, isn't it? It's trust, and you don't trust people because you've got a card of theirs. You trust them because they've spoke to you about their kids or about their holiday, and you probably forget what they actually do for work, but you know what their skill sets are. And then you remember their name and not their business. And that's how you
they
connect.
become the kind of person that you can send a message to when you're having a hard month because leads have dried up and you need a friend, and you end up going for a pint or a walk or whatever it might be. I think they're real friendships, they're business friendships, but you know what, as self-employed people, we need them. They're more important for us. When you're employed, you have co-workers, and you can't pick them, and you might not love them all, but you come into the office and there's the canteen or the kitchen, and you'll make a coffee and you'll catch up and you'll chat and you'll naturally bond with these people. And as self-employed people, I think it's so important we find that, because we're social animals and we need that.
And we have the same struggles, even in completely different areas of, like we mentioned earlier, invoices not being paid, or everybody wants to book you on the same day. Is there something going on that day that we don't know about? Why is my Apple calendar not telling me about this holiday that must be happening? Because everybody suddenly wants to book me, and that sort of thing. And it's just like, it just camaraderie.
It's so important. It really is. There's so many things that we have, as you said, that are similar threads between us, and having someone to chat about and realise that you're not alone and it's not unusual, and to have that conversation of like, it's really quiet this month, especially if you're new to being self-employed, and then you have a more experienced freelance turn around and say, it's August, everyone's on holidays, it's normal, you know. And
then the imposter syndrome kicks in, and you're like, no, that's normal, that's just what happens. Just about every 3 months you'll do that.
Welcome to the roller coaster of self-employment. Yep.
I can basically go on a little calendar and be like, right, I'll be looking for a job about then. It's about every 3 months. I just think, let's go employed. And then suddenly a lovely client comes in, and you go, oh no, that's why I do this. Yeah, no, I do love it actually, don't I? It's fine.
That exactly. But it's so it's so familiar, right? Like both of us can sit here and be like, I so relate to this.
But you feel so alone when it's happening, when you don't have that community. And building that is something I'm really into as well, of the community side of businesses, and that the little saying, you don't need more customers, you need your customers. So do what you love, talk about what you love, and you'll get those referrals through. You'll grow your business doing actually what you set out to do, because it's very easy to set up a business and then do what you think you should, and then realise you're working in 24/7 for something you didn't want to do in the first place. You gave yourself a job.
So much. I can relate to this so much. I think there's also something with experience of being self-employed. At the beginning, you just feel like you need to say yes to everything. And there's that thing about finding the customers that you fit. Was that? Well, give me the line again.
You don't need more customers, you need your customers.
Your customers. That bit really spoke to me, because working with the customers that don't fit you isn't great for them or for you.
No.
It doesn't make sense, right? Whereas when you get to the point that you start to understand who you work best with, it's just so much better for everyone involved.
But also, you don't want the ones that don't want to work with you coming through the door in the first place, because I always refer to it as like a chef. If you've got a restaurant and you make the best Michelin star food in the world, if somebody comes through that door wanting a greasy burger, no matter what you make them, they're not going to be happy. And they're going to go home and say, the food was tiny, it was like this, I was still hungry after it, it was so expensive, I felt really awkward. It's not going to work. So what you've actually done is you've not lost them as a customer. Everybody they talk to, they're going to blame you as the wrong thing. But the actual issue was they didn't understand your offering. And so the more we can talk about what we offer, that person will find you, and they will talk and say, oh, it was lovely, or this dish was so special, this happened, that happened, or the chef came over, and all of this personal connection happens because people know what to expect. We're really strange as humans, where we like to be surprised, but we also like to know what's going to happen, which is why TV shows, you watch what you like. I don't know if you've ever gone and seen a band that you're into music.
Yep.
How often do you book tickets for a band you've never heard of?
You don't.
You don't, because you go and see stuff you want to, Same with people giving talks on stage. You've read their book, you know what they're going to say, but you want to hear them say it. And that's the thing, it's getting your story out so people go, I know what they do. I want to work with them. Mm-hmm. And I'm really bad for telling people not to work with me if it's not the right fit, which my car's not quite the Lamborghini or the Porsche I'm aiming for. Maybe if I did start just taking all the clients in, it would be that, but I'm now wanting to just love what I do every single day, and having brilliant clients. I've got some fantastic ones at the moment, they're lovely. Still won't give me their Porsche, but working on it. And I'm loving it more than I ever have.
I think it's that, isn't it? It's working with people that you want to work with that also want to work with you, and it all feels so much better. I couldn't agree with this more. I think it was probably like year 4 of being self-employed before we really started to get that. Yeah. And what really spoke to me there was how you're telling people not to work with you.
Yes, all the
Same,
time, too much.
like a huge amount, because when you're a small 1-2 person business, you can't work with everyone. No. So you should only work with the people where you're going to be exactly what they want, and vice versa.
And then your community will grow as well, because chances are they will know other people who will also like your style. And so that, my mind now, HyperFocus, it's all over the place. What is it you love then? Who is your perfect sort of customer? Who's your perfect client? What's the dream job that would come through the door?
Oh, the dream job. So over time, what we've nailed ourselves down to for website and design are businesses, generally B2B, although we have some pretty cool B2C ones, but generally B2B, that hire between 1 and 5 marketers.
Okay.
And the business itself can be anything. But what we found is when there's between 1 and 5 marketers, because I'm an ex-marketer turned web developer, I completely speak their language, and we get on like a house on fire, and it's a really lovely place. And because I'm part of the marketing meetup, it's my space. I feel really comfortable there. And the offering that we have as a team of 2 can really beautifully augment what they need in that area. Anything smaller, we're probably trying to do too much for them, and there are other options that would be more affordable. And anything larger, and actually they need a larger agency for the kinds of exciting things that they're doing. So that's the magical sweet spot.
Yeah.
And we actually only take on about 4 to 6 clients a year. Okay. So it's really, we've worked with them for a really long time, and then they generally stay with us for the long term. So the majority of our clients we keep and work with month to month for a little bits as they need it. And the most important fit for me is that first call.
Yeah.
So as soon as a lead comes in that fits the criteria and we make sense for, and vice versa, we get a call in straight away. And when a client calls and it makes you smile because you're excited to talk to them, they're our clients.
That's the one. The gut feeling, they're good people.
You learn to trust that, right? The longer you're self-employed, the more the gut feeling. In the early days, it's terrifying going with your gut. But over the years, I've learned to just trust it, complicitly.
What I really liked there was that when I asked who was your perfect customer, you actually gave the answer of that it's not a particular industry or anything like that. It's a type of business. And when everybody talks about niching down and things like that, people always picture it being like you have to be in this sector or that sector. But actually a niche can be size of business, type of person. You say you communicate well with marketers, so that's a niche. You work with marketers, you don't work direct with makers or something like that. And
it took a really long
people
time.
People overlook.
It's so common to think you're going to niche by industry. And in the early days, we would, what industry? Because as a marketer, I've worked across all kinds of things. We've worked across all kinds of different businesses, and do we want to niche by industry? What is the benefit of doing so? Over time, we just noticed this pattern of all of our favourite customers who also loved us the most. And it happened to be businesses with marketing teams of 1 to 5 people, so we followed it.
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah.
Because you found who needs what you offer. Yeah.
And how to disqualify and qualify. That's really what it is. Like, we're very public about it on our website. We work best with teams of marketers between 1 alone, and then we'll support you and be your buddy, up to 5, and when you get beyond that you're going to be looking for something else.
So it's almost that, don't waste our time or your time because we're probably not a right fit. And unless you phone up and go, look, we're a team of 10 marketers but we really want to work with you, in which case they sort of know,
I don't think we
something about you as a person, but like you say, they're probably going to want something bigger.
It's learning over time. It's that confidence, right? Like you said, like you say no to more people than you say yes. If somebody called up and said we're a marketing team of 10 and they really wanted to work with us, with the greatest respect, we're not, right? But let me suggest some people that are.
What is it? Why is it you want to work with me? What are the things I'm offering? Because I know other people that I get on with who are a good fit.
Exactly, and this is the magic of having a community of self-employed people, right? Because it's exactly that. When someone comes through to you and they're wanting you, but for some reason they're not the right fit, but they're still awesome, you want to pass them on to someone, but you need to know someone you really trust to be willing to do that.
Yeah, like it's still your name, isn't it, going towards it. So you just want it to be a nice fit for everybody involved and be like, oh, they're gonna be happy. Like it's a bit like doing blind dates with people, isn't it? It's like, oh, they're gonna be a good fit.
It's exactly that. It is exactly that, and it's terrifying doing it because it's your reputation too. That project goes really, really wrong, it's you they're going to connect with that, even though you didn't touch it.
No, but and they look at it and go, like, well, let's blame them because people love to blame other people, and it's really nice as well. That's the other part of being part of a community, is you can bounce sort of situations that have happened and people go, no, you did the right thing, or right, in my contract I have this, like, that stops that happening in the first place. Like, we've all in the past all messed up. It's part and parcel of being freelance and
human
and creative, and in an industry. And one of the things I like to do is give talks to sort of students and work experience and things like that, and basically tell them where I fucked up and be like, don't do this. Like, don't go and buy all the latest camera equipment and then sit there and go, people will hire me for that. Or there's so much you can actually do wrong at the start that if you ignore that, you can do really well at your industry and grow rapidly and actually benefit the whole industry. Because what tends to happen is people, they do things wrong for clients, and then clients believe that whole industry doesn't work. So people work with bad marketers, and then they think marketing doesn't work. People work with bad photographers, and they think photography doesn't work for my business. And it's that thing we said earlier again of, they don't then tell one person, they tell everybody, we used SEO, doesn't work, our search results didn't go up. Like, no, you spent 50 quid on somebody doing SEO who did a LinkedIn advert once as a special offer. That's not how you do it. Right? You need the skill set to back up the industry, and sort of all of us working together can create a lot more work for the businesses we work for.
Oh, completely. I love that. There's one thing, as a business of our size, there is more work than we could possibly claim. Yeah. And I think the sooner, especially when you're starting up in being self-employed or being freelance, the sooner you realise that, and the sooner you realise that the people that do the same thing as you are your friends and your helpers and your co-community and co-conspirators and all of those kind of beautiful things, the sooner it gets better.
Yeah. Like when I first started in the photography industry, I used to do assisting and things in London, and it was around when Twitter was nice, and we had a hashtag, and it was sort of hashtag Digi Assist or Photo Assist or something like that, and we'd help each other out, we'd ping work to each other and things like that. And then what happened was people would start moving from being an assistant to a photographer, and we all sort of did it at the same sort of time, and people will get to a job because they've been nervous, so they forgot to pack their batteries, and they'll just put a thing out, anybody got a Canon battery? And there'd always be somebody go, yeah, I'm 2 tube stops down, come and grab them, or something like that. The people who are your competition are the only people with the skill set to help you. Mm-hmm. And people get ill, people need time off, clients need stuff doing, there's extra workload. We need to support each other. You only get that through the community, and straight away, our conversation is about community. Mm-hmm. We could be sitting here promoting all the stuff we do as businesses, but actually, it's all we end up talking about is other people. Yeah, and that's sort of one of the lovely things about how we met on LinkedIn is straight away when you came through the door, it's like, oh, you know this person, or we've got this connection, and half of them I haven't met, but I know them. And that's the nice thing about sort of LinkedIn and building the community and having places like Co-work Club and Marketing Meetup, is all these faces you see, they become real people. Mm-hmm. And all these little stories and all these little messages that you see everywhere, they actually become people you can rely on and you can support and that support you. Mm-hmm. And we need more of it. So you're doing more of it, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Obviously, I agree with everything you said. There's something in it which, to me, like, there's this magic that happens when you bring the self-employed together. Yeah. That's the thing that I think powers me and keeps me going and makes me want to do it. So with Co-work Club, the idea came to me over Christmas. You know, when you try and like slow down over the Christmas break, but your brain goes, so between Christmas and New Year, this thing like intrusively wouldn't go away. And so I mentioned it to my other half, and she kind of liked it. So then I mentioned it to a few other business contacts, and they were, we quite like to come to that. So I like to call it the idea fairy. The idea fairy visits me about 3 times a week, and most of them are really bad, right?
Yeah.
Right? So the idea fairy thought that we should make custom furniture because my other half's great at woodwork. Or I took up knitting in lockdown, and maybe I should start knitting sofa cushions and sell them. The idea fairy is a good visitor.
Furniture. So,
right?
Yeah,
right? There was a whole empire here.
Yeah.
Turns out it takes a long time to knit a cushion. But so this idea fairy wouldn't go away.
Yeah.
And the idea was to start running local in-person co-working events, which is what Co-work Club is, so that we could all find and spend time with other self-employed people and freelancers. So we decided, we went back to Vulcan Works and went, guys, can we try this thing? You know, God knows whether anyone will come.
Just have a room. Just lend us the room.
Just let us go in there. You know, like, it could be a bit of fun. And it's been beautiful, and the feedback is continuously beautiful, which is a really lovely thing. So as Northampton Works, we decided to put out the feelers about whether anyone else would like to run one where they are.
Yeah.
And we're currently in the process of working with hosts in Reading, a couple of London, and one in Cambridge, who are in the process of sorting out getting a co-work club going in their local area, which is, yeah, I mean, I'm so excited to visit them. Like, what a lovely thing. So, we'll go anywhere that there is a demand for it and someone that wants to be a host.
You are looking to do more. You're looking for more sites that you could expand this out to and let other people benefit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's about the other people. So what we've done is set up all of the infrastructure and taking on all of the admin and all of the dull stuff that makes running an event.
You've got the framework there, haven't you? You've put the paperwork together. You've done the flyers. You've done that. So the legwork is done.
And the event ticketing software, and the website and the social media graphics to promote it.
Now it's gone way past.
Right, instantly, it's like, this is dull. Yeah. So this is what stops most people from running an event, because there is so much behind the scenes work, so much. So what we've done is we've found a way that we, as my wife and I, can take all of that away, and we can find hosts that want to run one, but without all of that work. Yeah. But are community focused and really want to run a co-working event once a month. And so we'll go anywhere where the demand is and there's a space to host it.
And what sort of people have you found so far that are doing the hosting? They're taking on this, I'm going to call it responsibility, because it is, isn't it really? They're going to be the hub of these connections in the first place. What sort of characters are they?
So the club hosts so far, we've got a really eclectic mix. We have another web developer who, alongside his wife, they're actually a direct competitor of ours.
Okay.
If you were to consider us competitors.
Yeah.
But they're also really good friends. We met on LinkedIn year and a half ago, saw that we were doing almost exactly the same kinds of things, slid into each other's DMs, ended up having Zooms once a month, because it's really nice to share the madness of what we're doing. And so when we said that we were going live with this, bless him, he jumped straight in and went, I want to do this. So he's one of our London hosts. He definitely suits HyperFocus. Unbelievably so. Him and I are very similar personality types. It's a bit weird when we spend time together. I think our other halves think we're a bit much. But he's jumped straight on the bandwagon, which is absolutely gorgeous. We've got an interior designer going in Reading. We'd never met before Co-work Club. This thing was put out. We've had some beautiful Zoom calls. I think it's a personality fit. Like with clients, you get on a Zoom call and your gut tells you. And we're very much like, the hosts are welcoming, and it's about the community, and they get the new way of networking and want to be a centre post for that, which is amazing and absolutely lovely. And we have someone who is the head of an online marketing school. Yeah, it's a really eclectic mix.
You've got a good mix of industries, but by the sound of it, similar personalities that maybe are on the type of people who wouldn't fit in with the traditional networking. Like I've done plenty of traditional networking and plenty of sort of new networking, and we've had a couple of events here at Christmas. I did a little Christmas party where we did a no alcohol Christmas party, so people could bring some drinks up. I supplied some non-alcoholic stuff, and we just did. Dan did a talk. We just had a bit of a laugh because we wanted to create a bit of community around. But I've also been to networks where somebody said to me, what's the name of your business? Chalk Original. I don't like that name. It doesn't explain what it does. And I think the name of their business was like Dave's something. Like, it didn't make any sense. Like, you're not actually telling me what your business does either, so don't put down mine. But I was also cornered at the time, and that thing of feeling cornered in a place where you're meant to be meeting people felt so strange. Like, I'm not the tallest person in the world, but mighty 5'7". But I would also say, if you described me, I would probably come across not the nicest person, like shaved head, tattoos, that sort of thing. Of, you describe that to my mum, and she's like, "That's not Wayne. Like, he's the little boy with the freckles." So I wasn't intimidated by him, but I could feel pressured to be something I wasn't. And that's the complete wrong thing for anybody going into a situation where they're meant to be themselves. And this was a few years ago, and it's still something that just connects with my brain, and I'll probably hyper-focus and deep think into this more sort of over the next few days, because that's what tends to happen as well. But that was something that shouldn't have happened in the first place, and the environment that we were in made that easy.
Mm-hmm.
The having a name badge which has your company on it. Well, I'm not my company. I'm Wayne. I just happen to own this thing. It's people talking to you as a company and as an industry rather than as a person.
I think there's something about when you walk into any kind of event, it is down to the event organisers to set the tone and what's acceptable and what's normal behaviour, and they become, over time, self-selecting.
Yeah.
So I bet you didn't go back after that.
No, never been to. No.
Right, and I bet you told your friends not to go back to that because it's not your tribe.
No,
right?
it's just it wasn't the right fit.
Yeah.
So the people I get on well with would hate it there.
Right, because it felt wrong. But for some people, that will be what they're looking for. And, we're human, and there's a huge range, and that's absolutely fine. But I think we self-select our communities and our events very much so. You'll go to one, you'll try it, and if it's not right...
do you know Chester House Estate? Have you been seeing their network?
Space.
They do a networking event. It's brilliant. It's lovely. You go in, it's very relaxed. It's really nice environment. And I think the environment leads a lot to that. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the video that's around at the moment from, I think he's the art director for Nike? So he basically has a tin can, it's all crushed like that, and he said, if I put this out on a street, it's a tin can. And for me to try and sell that to you and make it valuable, it's next to impossible. If I put this into a museum or an art gallery, it's suddenly worth an absolute fortune because of the environment that it's in. And it's the same for... I've crushed my can now. And it's the same for events and networking and things. So having Vulcan Works, which we both said we were looking for it to be built because there wasn't anything that fit that. All the other people there have done the same thing. We've all got that similar interest. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of something that wasn't there with other networking events. And that's... I always talk... This might as well be the Chester House Estate podcast because it always comes up. But that place just feels right to go to and chat and meet people of general businesses, not of a particular creative industry. And it's lovely for that. But the one that you've sort of got at Vulcan Works sounds like it's going to really attract creative industries in particular, or creative people who work for industries as well. Mm. Because there's so many jobs out there and people who are employed that are really creative, but maybe they don't get that connection with their co-workers.
Yeah. It's a funny one. So the Chester House, funny enough, some of the Co-work Club team have been telling me I need to go, so I'm going to have to find some time on my events calendar. I see the photos, I think I must go there. Yeah. Noted. I will come along to one. And as for like the kind of people that are being attracted, again, I think it's personality fit as opposed to just creatives. Like we've got some creatives, copywriters, we've had some developers, pay-per-click specialists, social media people, huge range. And I think again, it's a bit of anyone that is working from the home office or a small solo office.
And that probably used to listen to Blink 182 and Green Day.
I mean, you've just personality typed me immediately. Very good, very good. On that, I've got to ask, at Indie Business Club, there's a podcast, and they've called it Indie after the bands like that. So if that's your kind of thing, again, our kind of people, you should probably check it out.
Yeah, do like obviously love a podcast, hence starting this up. And you've been on a few, haven't you, recently? Because that's how we met. You did that's how you got invited onto this one. You did a little shout out saying looking for podcasts to go on. Who else have you been and spoken to? Tell me the great things about them. I want to hear about other businesses doing brilliant podcasts.
So you should check out the Building podcast by 12:20. I'm going to say it wrong. It's 12:21. It is. I'm sorry, Brendan and Harry, if I've got that wrong.
We'll beep it or something.
Right?
Yeah. Swearing
you know when your brain just goes, right? No, it's definitely wrong. 12:25. There we go. You know when it just won't come.
Well, it would have been nice if I pre-warned you about any of the things we were going to talk about today, but
it was
I didn't
right
know what
there.
we were going to talk about.
Right so Brendan and Harry, bless them, they came along to one of the marketing meetup events, and based on that having started up in the county, they invited me over to their podcast. And they are an SEO startup, the two of them. They've got their industry creds behind them, and they've decided to set up their own agency. And they're currently going through the process of taking it from day one to established agency, which is fascinating to watch. And they're using the Building podcast to speak to people that are going along that journey in their various different ways, while charting their own progress doing it. Absolutely fascinating. Funnily enough, we've got Harry coming along to Co-work Club later this year to give 12 lessons he wished he'd had a year ago when he started scaling his agency. Those two are very talented at what they do, but also their podcast's really, really good. I do enjoy that one. So they were really sweet to get me in and give me that kind of platform. And I think all the other ones were previous. So there haven't been any since I've come back to Northamptonshire other than that one. And then I've got a few lined up for in the future, which I'm really looking forward to. Which is it's really, really good fun.
It's the new big thing, isn't it? Sort of podcasting and...
Yeah, I mean, is it even new at this point?
I think it's new in the way that blogging wasn't new when it became big. I set this up because short form content is brilliant for attracting people and letting them know who you are, but to really pass on your knowledge, you need long form content. And people don't have the attention span to read blog posts anymore. So having the opportunity for a podcast where people can discuss about something they're passionate about or knowledgeable about means that people can pop it on while they do the hoovering or something like that. The amount of miles I drive, I get through about 10 podcasts a week, and I love them. It really annoys me now when all of them are only doing one per week. I'm driving too much to not. Yeah, I need updates. I can
relate to that one.
So I think it's a growing part of the industry because of that long form content style. The question I usually ask people is, do you scroll TikTok or Instagram? What were the last 5 short form content videos you watched? What was the last film you watched at the cinema? You know that one
instantly, without doubt.
So even though people count everything on views, it's actually the amount of information retention that matters for a business. So little snippets from this are really nice to show a micro piece of information that onto social and LinkedIn and things like that. But actually long form content and knowledgeable information is what business owners should be concentrating on going into 2024, 2025. And that's why I love these conversations, because I get to steal all of your ideas, learn them all without having to listen to another podcast while driving, and then be even better for next year.
These podcasts are so magic for that. So I drove to Newcastle and back recently. Number of podcasts I got through. Went to Manchester and back. I've been driving an unusual amount recently, but podcasts the whole way. And every time I go to the gym, I listen to one, and you pick up so much. You can get so much better at what you do so quickly, but also from the other point of view. From the business's point of view, I am much more likely to buy from a business that's a good podcast. So much more likely, because you know what, if I go to them to learn when I'm not yet in the buying cycle, but I'm at the early information stage, if I'm 12 podcasts deep with that business, I'm not even thinking about the competitors because they've already got my trust,
And it's also, as I said earlier, I not turn away, but I don't work with a lot of customers that inquire with me. Sometimes that's down to price, but what I'll always do is give advice on how people can do things themselves. So as a photographer and video maker, I must hate the iPhone. Love it. Do it. Make content. Shoot on your phone. It's there to do a job, and it works. Mm-hmm. What tips can you give from your industry or from setting up the co-work club? Like, if you were to give 3 top tips about one of those subjects, first of all, which one would you pick? And then what would the tips be?
So it's 3 top tips
Yeah.
to...
Either for the web and design business, or for setting up something like co-work club.
If you're at a price point where like going with a professional is too high, is that the...
Yes, I'd say for people to either get started with it themselves so that they can begin their journey, or if they were looking at starting within this industry as well. Like, we all like it when good people come in.
Oh, massively. We need new blood. We all age far too quickly.
What are you saying?
I mean, I'm looking at my own grays here. So I think, like, what flashed into my brain when you were talking about, like, you love the iPhones, the immediate thing that stood out to me is the number of people that say they hate Canva when they're a designer. Mm-hmm. So admittedly, I'm the developer half of the partnership, but Canva is a godsend when you are not needing the production value of a professional designer. And you know what? It does the job, and it does it not that badly. So I think that's like one top tip from, Canva will get you going. From the community point of view, I think if you have an idea for community, this will be pretty generic for a lot of ideas, but it's not to make it too large or to overthink it too much. If you have like a nugget of something, just giving it a try in a really small kind of bubble can be a really good way to see whether other people are interested in it and whether there's any value in it. And also not to blow all of your money on all of the software. So it's so easy to think, well, if I'm going to set up a community, then I need to have a podcast, and I need a YouTube series, and I need to have the best email marketing solution, and I need an online platform, and your software bill can stack massively. I think doing 1 or 2 things really well is so much more valuable than trying to do them all.
And on that as well, it's things worth doing well and worth doing badly. Start off not being very good at something, and you'll learn where you've messed up or what. And the community's out there to help you as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at doing something like the co-work club, or this, contact you guys. Set one up with you guys, because you're doing that, aren't you? But if it's even further afield and that sort of doesn't fit, it's like, just give it a go.
Yeah, right. And whatever your passion is, like, I've often thought about setting up some kind of knitting club that isn't just for old ladies, like, really cool cafe, really good coffee, amazing pastry, maybe having someone with unique skills coming in, right? Sure. Again, it's the idea fairy, so there are only so many things you can do.
I like the movement.
Right, she is.
Can somebody animate that?
She is always just there. My other half tells me to batter away when she turns up.
Write it down. Don't batter it away. Just write that down.
I know there's too many. The way that I've learned to deal with the idea fairy is only if she becomes intrusive. Okay. Do I then start to speak about the idea and test it out with other people? But at the moment they're all going, because I'm running 2 businesses now. Like, there's no time for a third. But I think if like an idea comes and it's a passion project, there's no loss in giving it a go. As long as you've got the time to try it, you only get one life.
Yeah. And if you've got an interest, then generally you're an interesting person as well. So be free to shout about it, get it out there, because you'll connect with people.
Naturally. That is always the way. It is always the way. There's a really awesome meetup that started up in Northampton recently called NM1 Dev Club. Okay. And it started by an awesome developer called Pavel, who just wanted to meet up with more developers and have a bit more of a community about him. And he has started this thing up, and then along with a local recruitment agency, they've built it into this thing where this community is just kind of naturally forming.
And
again, it was
passion. In-person event, is it?
Yeah, in-person event.
So a web-based developer has decided to do an in-person event. Mm-hmm. Who would have thought about that a few years ago? Like, you have to do everything online. You have to, and now we're so much going back to.
We're craving human connection, right? Like, online is awesome and it's really valuable and it allows us to connect at speed. And there's plenty of clients that I'll never meet in person. It's really cool that I have that. It also allowed me to run my business while being overseas. It's awesome, but I think we're all in this huge like need for real face-to-face human connection at the moment, and it's a perfect example. Like that dev club is bringing together developers, and it's a really beautiful thing. Like you know, and they're proper like making friends and having a community amongst them. So yeah, I think if you're passionate about one specific thing, there's always room for a community.
Yeah, there's communities that, look, if you've got a passion for something, generally there'll be other people to do it, isn't it?
You'd have to be pretty niche to not be able to find that.
We've all been on the internet and we know there's some pretty niche things out there, so don't start a club for them. What I like about these conversations is we spark something, and as I'm talking to somebody, I just feel your energy was buzzing then, and it shows the love for actually what is happening in your life. And that's something that really charges me up, and that's what I love about having the podcast, is having an excuse for people to come on. I was a ridiculously shy child. My sister was the confident one. I was the one who stood and watched, sort of like build up the confidence before doing something, and then having a camera allowed me to have an excuse to do things. And now actually having a podcast allows me to talk to people that I've got an excuse. Excuses are brilliant. So thank you very much for coming on. Thank you very much for having the chat and coming down here today. It's been really interesting.
It's been really lovely. I've really enjoyed it.
And I'm going to definitely get the diary back out, and we'll fit in the marketing meetup and the co-work club, and we'll get you down to Chester House Estate as well.
Yes.
Because I'm sure we've both got loads of people we can introduce each other to and meet.
And probably share between us without even realising it.
Yeah, we will. We'll get back on that, and it'll be like, oh yeah, you know that person, yeah. And that's the lovely thing about Northamptonshire and the community that's there and growing. And we're going to keep doing that together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then cut. I just do the clap.
Well, that was very chilled, very lovely.
Yeah, well, that's how I like it. I didn't even realise we started, and then I sat down and we were chatting and we just keep going.